I mentioned the moment of the car chase that aired on 60 Minutes show on Sunday, and it was very dramatic. I'm going to show it to the audience, and then we'll talk about it. Here it is.
In 2020, near Key West, Florida, deputies tried to stop the Mustang for speeding. It ran 15 miles until it hit spike strips laid in its path. A search of the car found notes of bank accounts.
Citibank, Discover Savings, $75,000.
And this device that looks like a walkie-talkie can erase the car's computer data, including its GPS record. There was also a Russian passport.
What's your first name?
Vitaly, Vitalii.
Okay. And what they say is that this guy, Vitaly, was being investigated by Carrie, our friend with the wig. And that after Vitaly got arrested and went into jail, that's when Carrie got attacked by, obviously not Vitaly, but maybe somebody Russian who was mad that Vitaly was now behind bars. That's the theory, as I understand it anyway. For me, I was like, okay, this is great. They appear to have gotten, I guess, a Russian spy. Scott Pelley says that in the anchor track that follows, that they think he's a Russian spy. And I'm like, terrific. What do they have? Okay, bank accounts. That's exciting. I have those too, but okay, I'm with you still. Show me what you got. And it's like the device, the walkie-talkie device. I'm like, there it is. They found it. He's going to say, and we found if you point it through the window, it can do the thing to the ear, cause vertigo, the massive headaches. It wipes your GPS clean. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. This is the Russian. Here he is, the Russian spy. You know, he's in on it. He's connected to the woman you have on camera who gets attacked. Where's his weapon, Glenn? Didn't happen. Hasn't been found.
Well, and also they had him in custody for 18 months, or he served 18 months in prison. They said the FBI had extensively interrogated him. Why didn't the government, which again believes the Havana Syndrome does not exist, that there's no evidence of a secret weapon being employed against us by any foreign adversary, including Russia? Why, if this person was such a high-level Russian spy and a technical genius, did he have no evidence of it that they extracted from him? But this is the thing, Megyn. This is what I found so interesting. This story depended on the kind of dot connecting and crazy conspiracy theory that if it came from anyone else, like some person on Facebook, you would probably not only get mocked, but probably even like censored. Because what they tried to do here is to say that the motive that the Russians had for attacking Carrie, who was working for the FBI, was that she was investigating this guy who's Russian who was detained. Let's assume that he was a Russian spy. Even if that were the case, how would that be a motive that the Russians would have? I mean, so you cause the FBI investigator a headache, have headaches and dizziness. So, okay, now she's disabled and she just gets replaced by some other FBI investigator. It's not like she was the head of the FBI or some like unique specialist or some like that they had, put her in the Kremlin after years of, she was just like a random FBI investigator who could be replaced at any moment. So even that motive that they tried to imply was so strong is actually incredibly weak. It makes no sense. Again, you would much more likely be seeing, if I had that secret weapon and I were the Russians, I would use it against Zelensky or like the top Ukrainian commanders. That's actually involved in a war with my country. Why would you use it on a relatively low-level FBI investigator just because she's happens to be investigating some guy who might or might not have connections to the Russian government? Because it wouldn't achieve anything. It's not like it erases her brain or her memory or whatever she learned. She could pass that on to somebody else, and then she can be replaced in the investigation. So I'm not saying it's definitely untrue. Like, you also can't say that like 9/11 theories are definitely untrue. You can take a look at them and then say, man, and understand like this relies on some wild conspiracy theories and like some crazy dot connecting and very dubious. But that's the same. I felt that with the 60 Minutes piece, that I was watching a kind of random internet conspiracy theorist, but it had the imprimatur of 60 Minutes and therefore was supposed to be taken more seriously.
Yeah, well, you won't be surprised to hear the counter view from John Bolton. Take a listen here to him.
When I was National Security Advisor, I was briefed on this. I was very concerned about it. I did then and do now think that there's very likely some hostile adversary behavior here, whether it's Russia, China, maybe somebody else, more than likely Russia.
Shocked? Are you?
I would fall over in my seat. I mean that without hyperbole if he had said anything but that. And this, Megyn, 20 years ago, John Bolton was on television telling everybody that it was basically proven that Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons, that he was in an alliance with Al Qaeda. Every time there's a new enemy, John Bolton is there endorsing every allegation against that adversary or enemy. That's the function that he plays. And I guess, I do think the Iraq War and whatever you want to say about that in terms of what the media got wrong, and everyone admits that the government and the media were wrong about what Saddam Hussein had, made a major dent in the credibility of the media and in the government in terms of people's willingness to trust it. And then you've added on to that many other things, including some of which I said. So how is it that John Bolton, who has a long history of endorsing these kinds of claims and conspiracy theories that turns out to be false, still gets put on television as an expert to trust? There's no accountability for it. And they put him on because they know he's going to say that, and that's what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm. You've talked so many times about how there are multiple stenographers in the mainstream media for our intelligence agencies, and they just don't question. They just write what they're told to write. And that's how they get used and we get misled, because the average American citizen is not thinking about this stuff. They're living their lives. They're paying their bills. They're taking care of their kids. And yet the manipulation that happens at levels high and low in media, and the stool pigeons, whatever you want to call them, who just go along without questioning, it's really kind of shocking. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I've, as you know, spoken to people who say that they have this, people who are respectable, who are smart, who, I believe there's in their sincerity. And there was another woman featured in the 60 Minutes piece who I thought seemed more sincere and believable, perhaps, than the woman we played, with all due respect to Carrie. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I didn't think this was a balanced piece at all. And their unwillingness to balance it, if anything, made me less likely to believe them. And now I've got more suspicions than ever.
Right. I think, but that's the key is, there are a lot of people who have symptoms that we can't identify why they have. And the ability of the brain to manufacture symptoms is very real. I mean, again, go talk to ER doctors and they will tell you a lot of people who wait in waiting rooms end up with blood pressure crises, even though there's nothing causing the elevated blood pressure crisis except for their anxiety, which produces it. It doesn't mean their blood pressure isn't high. It just means it's caused by mental health issues, by severe anxiety or other forms, and produce. Our brains are very powerful.
And they're very suggestive. We're very subject to that kind of suggestion. I mean, just ask anybody who's ever seen, you find out your kid has lice, you're like, you can feel them all over you, right? It's like anybody who has been through that.
Well, and also every medical student or doctor will tell you, I've heard this so many times from them, that if you are in medical school and constantly studying diseases and what the symptoms are, you constantly start finding that you have, oh my God, I think I have this disease. And because you're constantly hearing about these symptoms and reading about them, and then your brain starts creating them. This is a very powerful motivator. And especially when this has been going on, you can find stories from 2018 and 2019 about how people overseas who work for the US government are being attacked by Russia with this brain weapon. So if you're somebody who works for these intelligence agencies and you're hearing these reports, I'm sure there are a lot of people who start developing these symptoms because they're convinced they have them because of the power of suggestion, because of this social contagion. But to go from that to this gigantic leap that we're under attack from Russia is just on an evidentiary basis so dubious. But when you add on to it all the reasons, the partisan reasons and the other policy reasons why so many people have an interest in promoting that narrative, that's what I think. I mean, this is not just a weird little story that may not be true. It has serious implications. Obviously, if Russia is attacking our country with brain weapons, that requires a lot of action. But if they're not, that requires other ways of thinking about policy and politics.
There are common sense reasons gold is pushing to all-time highs right now. The cost of goods continues to rise, for one. The national debt continues to skyrocket, too, now above $34 trillion. It's hard to even fathom, causing many to worry when this house of cards is going to come crashing down. And then there's our presidential election, and this year, that's going to have massive implications on the future of this country. All of this can add up to instability and uncertainty. And that is why many Americans are turning to Birch Gold Group. Have you diversified your savings yet? One option you could consider is to secure a portion of your savings with gold from Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and get your free info kit. You'll learn how to convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold without costing you anything. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers. Text MK to 989898 to claim your free info kit and learn how you might protect your savings from uncertainty today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.